So welcome back after the break, and after the break we are going to begin with another interesting topic of peer review process. So this process is basically, I'll just give you an overview about it, and I think after that it will become much easier for you. So how does everything work? Just look at it here. So first of all, the practicing unit may get an intimation from the peer review board, okay, or it may on its own apply to the peer review board for the purpose of peer review. Once it gets an intimation from the peer review board or it applies to the peer review board, it has to select one peer reviewer out of the three options which are provided to it by the peer review board. So the peer review board will provide it with three options. Out of those three options, it has to select one peer reviewer. Whoever he selects, the practicing unit, that person will get access to the questionnaire which is already filled by the practicing unit. In that questionnaire, it will get the details about the engagements, basically the assurance engagements that it has performed in the last 3 years. All the details will be provided to the peer reviewer. Once the peer reviewer gets the access to the questionnaire, out of these all engagements, he will select some samples plus any additional information he wants to ask from the practicing unit. Once the samples are selected and additional information is determined, he will go for an on-site review. What do you mean by an on-site review? He will visit the practicing unit and then he will perform his testing procedures. So this is all about it, and after the on-site review is done, then based on the review, based on the procedures, a report will be issued, and that is also a separate thing that we will cover in this process. So this is a summary of the process that I have just given you. So first of all, the practicing unit will get an intimation from the peer review board. If it wants to get it done suo moto, it will apply to the peer review board. Ultimately, out of the three options, one peer reviewer will be selected who will get access to the questionnaire filled by the practicing unit. In that questionnaire, he will get the details about the assurance engagement. Based on all the details, he will select some samples. Some additional samples may also be selected based on the information, and then he will perform his testing. On-site review will carry on, and after everything is done, the report will be issued. So this is a summary of the whole process. Let's study it in detail. So it will take not more than 10 minutes, but I want your focus on the screen. And trust me, once we are done with this process, you will remember all the limits. You will be easily able to recall all the days. Just listen to me carefully and put your focus here. So it says, procedure for initiating the peer review. That is where the peer review gets started. Practicing units which desire to get the peer reviewed, okay, they shall make the application for peer review in an application cum questionnaire. We will call it ACQ. The format of application cum questionnaire is form number 1. In case the peer review is initiated by board. So the first option is they are getting it done suo moto, so they are making the application on their own. The second case is the peer review is initiated by the board. Then in that case, ACQ in the form number 1 should be submitted by practicing unit on the request of the peer review board secretary. Application mentioned above is received by the board shall be duly numbered. They will do that numbering process. Just read this point, nothing else. Once they receive the ACQ, the names of 3 reviewers shall be recommended by the board to the practicing unit within 3 working days. So the game is 3 by 3. So once the board gets the application cum questionnaire, they will send the name of 3 reviewers within 3 days. Come on, 3 reviewers within 3 working days. Out of those 3 reviewers, 1 reviewer will be selected. Since they are selecting 1 reviewer, How many days should be given? Sir, 1 working day. Very, very good. So practicing unit shall select 1 out of the 3 reviewers and intimate the board within 1 working day of the receipt of the names. So 3 reviewers in 3 working days, selection of 1 reviewer in 1 working day. I hope everything is clear till here. Now comes the next point. Board shall appoint the peer reviewer selected by the practicing unit in accordance with these guidelines. Just a point to be read, nothing else. Board shall intimate. Now the person who has been selected, he needs to be told, sir, you are being selected. So he needs to be intimated in this case. So board shall intimate the reviewer so selected to submit a DOC. Did we discuss about it? The answer is yes. I told you, to be eligible as a peer reviewer, you need to have an experience, 7 years experience in practice. In case you move from industry to practice, 10 years industry, 3 years practice, 10 minus 3 equal to 7. Then you need to do proper training, test and a declaration of confidentiality. So that declaration of confidentiality needs to be submitted to the practicing unit within 2 working days from the receipt of the choice of name of the reviewer from the practicing unit. Practicing unit shall provide a copy of application cum questionnaire in form number 1 to the board, to the reviewer. Basically, that ACQ which it submitted to the board will be submitted to the reviewer also. Sir, within how many days? Within 2 working days of the appointment of reviewer. So these last 2 points have 2 working days as common. Come on. Last 2 points have 2 working days in common. The first point being declaration of confidentiality, 2 days. Come on. Declaration of confidentiality, do it with me. 2 days. And the second point is copy of application cum questionnaire also need to be given to the peer reviewer within 2 working days of the appointment of reviewer. So I have summarized this whole process in this part. Application is always given in form 1, whether it is giving on its own or being intimated by the board. Reviewer options to be provided by the board to the practicing unit, 3 options within 3 working days. Wherever days is written, what do you mean by days? Working days. Alright. Then the practicing unit need to do the selection 1 out of the 3 in 1 working day. Then board needs to intimate the reviewer so selected to submit the declaration of confidentiality in form 2 in 2 days. Come on, in form 2 in 2 days, and the practicing unit shall share a copy of the application cum questionnaire again within 2 days with the reviewer. So this is all about it. If I talk about the initial portion, please take a minute, go through it and do the recalling part right away, right now. We will move step by step. Please take a minute and revise and recall right now. Come on, you can do it. हाँ भाई, going on. Done. So yes, so now what we have just covered is the initial part in which the application is sent by the practicing unit to the peer review board, and then the peer review board gives 3 names to the practicing unit, and out of those 3 names 1 is selected, and that person who is selected is also provided with a copy of application cum questionnaire so that he can give samples out of that. Now let's focus on the next topic in which the peer reviewer will share the samples with the practicing unit, and if required, oh my god, if required, he can also ask or seek additional samples from the practicing unit. So what is the whole process about? Let's go through it. So it says, before the commencement of the peer review, reviewer shall ensure that DOC, sir, what is DOC? Declaration of confidentiality is furnished to the practicing unit and acknowledgement of the receipt is obtained by him. Now the question from me to you, to see if you are attentively watching the class or not. This DOC is to be given by the peer reviewer to the practicing unit within how many days? Sir, 2 days. Peer reviewer gets 2 days to furnish this declaration of confidentiality to the practicing unit. Alright. Then, after it receives the application cum questionnaire in form number 1 from the practicing unit, then the reviewer shall initiate the peer review by intimating the practicing unit about the proposed visit and the proposed samples selected to be kept ready by the practicing unit. Sir, in which form he will inform the practicing unit about the sample selected? So for the samples, as for samples, we have form 5. Since form 5 looks similar to S for samples, that's why they have selected form 5. Okay, so 5 and S look very similar, so that's how you can remember. Form 5 is for selecting the samples. Sir, if the peer reviewer wants additional samples or he needs further clarification, then what form it is? It is form number 6, because 6 comes subsequent to 5. So for additional things, for additional clarifications, form 6 is used by the peer reviewer, and that shall be any additional sample, any further clarification shall be provided to the reviewer within 1 working day. Next point, reviewer shall within 2 working days of receiving the information from the practicing unit. So this 4th point and 2nd point are similar. It says that the samples need to be selected within 2 working days. So can I assume one thing? Can I say one thing? Whenever the thing is between the peer reviewer and the practicing unit, please listen carefully. Whenever the thing is between the peer reviewer and the practicing unit, it is always 2 days. How come, sir? Practicing unit has to provide the application cum questionnaire to the peer reviewer within 2 days. Peer reviewer has to submit the declaration of confidentiality within 2 days. Peer reviewer has to select the samples from the application cum questionnaire within 2 days. So every time it is 2 days, but when it is about providing additional clarification or further information, since that thing will not take much time, in that case only in that case it is 1 working day. Is this point clear to all of you? Yes, sir. So reviewer shall within 2 working days of receiving the information from the practicing unit select the samples, and for the samples we have already studied, it is form 5. So you can study point 2 and point 4 collectively. Since he has selected the samples, he will have to go and check these samples. So when the peer reviewer visits the practicing unit and checks the sample, that process is called on-site review. Again, how much time do you think practicing unit will get to, you can say, ready the samples and ready the documents that the peer reviewer has to see? Again, 2 working days. Reviewer shall plan for an on-site review visit for the initial meeting in consultation with the reviewer. He shall give practicing unit at least 2 working days to keep ready the necessary records for selected assurance services. The whole process of peer review should be completed within 20 working days. So 2 10s are 20, so maybe 10 times they will talk about 2 days. So this is how, please remember that the whole process needs to be completed within 20 working days. Now sir, these 20 working days will start when? From the date of receipt of application from the practicing unit for the purpose being peer reviewed, in case the practicing unit has applied for it, or if the practicing unit has been selected by the peer review board, then from the date of notifying the practicing unit about its selection for the review, as the case may be. So whatever be the case, within 20 working days the whole process needs to be completed. Sir, in case it is about a new unit, do you remember the concept of new unit? A unit which has been in existence for less than 24 months. Remember? Right? It was 24 months. Please give me a thumbs up. Huh? Nalayak. How come it is 24 months? It was 12 months. A unit which has been in existence for less than 12 months, or even if it has been in existence for more than 12 months, but it has not rendered even a single assurance engagement. So new unit के केस में the entire review process needs to be completed within 7 working days from the date of receipt of application cum questionnaire from the practicing unit. Now, in the first stage, the reviewer was appointed. In the second case, reviewer was provided with the application cum questionnaire from which he selected the samples. Now, in the third case, he will actually go to the practicing unit and start verifying the samples, and that process is called the on-site review. And remember, the on-site review will not extend beyond a week. But sir, here 6 working days is written. Isn't it the same thing? Sunday is the holiday. Sunday is the fun day. So on Sunday, there will be no peer review. Come on Sunday, there will be no peer review. I'm just giving you a trick to remember this thing. Okay. So please listen it carefully. On Sunday, there will be no peer review. So automatically, how many working days? Sir, 6 working days. So 6 working days is the maximum time limit for an on-site review based on the size of the practicing unit. Now there is one miscellaneous question which ICI can ask you for 5 marks. Sir, when the peer reviewer goes, come on, when the peer reviewer goes and visits the practicing unit, okay, so he has to perform compliance and substantive procedure. Did I tell you this thing? Did I tell you? Please tell me yes or no. Yes, sir. He shall perform a combination, a combo of compliance and substantive procedure. Sir, what are compliance procedure? Test of controls, or you can say test of policies and procedures which are in place by the practicing unit. Sir, what is substantive procedure? I think we have already discussed. Still, I will tell you. In case the practicing unit has performed any assurance engagement, checking the documentation of that audit, that documentation check is called substantive procedure. So now we are discussing the test of controls. So what should be the general policies? What should be the general controls in a practicing unit? That is the topic that we are going to discuss right now. So sir, the general controls in a practicing unit should be regarding the independence. Essay 200, overall objective of independent auditor. So independence is one thing which is ultra important. So this thing should be taken care of by the practicing unit. Then maintenance of professional skills and standard. Is ethics enough? No sir, ethics are not enough. You also need to be professionally competent. You need to have proper skills. You need to comply with the standards. Very good. But sometimes your skills, your standards may not be enough. Come on. Your skills and your standards may not be enough. In that case, you need to take outside consultation. Then in that case, you need to take outside consultation. And sir, outside consultation is very costly. Say it after me. The outside consultation is very costly. So my friend, please recruit your own staff. Please recruit your own staff, supervise them, develop them through training. This is what you have to do. And in the end, just administer everything. Just administer that everything is going on properly. That is the office administration. So these are the general controls which should be there in every practicing unit. Sir, first thing is independence. Without independence, nothing can happen. But with independence, you need to have proper skills and standards. If you feel your skills and standards are not enough, go for an outside consultation. Please say it after me. If you feel your skills and standards are not enough, go for an outside consultation. Sir, outside consultation is very costly. It is taking lot of money from my bank. So in that case, recruit the staff, supervise the staff, develop the staff, and at the end of the day, administer everything, office administration. Did you get the flow of this topic? Yes, sir. If you want an easy technique to remember it, you can also say, like, in a city, which is the body which controls all the crimes? Come on. In a city, which is the body which controls all the crimes? Sir, it is cops. And the cops should be again independent cops. Sir, how will we remember the independent cops? So the independent means independence. C for consultation. Come on. C for consultation. O for office administration. P for professional skills and standards. And S for staff recruitment, supervision and development. Quickly take 1 minute or 2 minutes and please learn these 5 points right away, right now. Do it fast. Yes. Done, done, done. Chalo ji. Now let's move to the next topic, and the next topic says, sir, please understand, huh? Please understand, please understand, please understand, and look at it here. So now the reviewer has access to the questionnaire, okay, and in that questionnaire, practicing unit has provided all the details to the reviewer. So now he wants to decide how many samples to draw from that pool of information that he has. So in audit also we have similar concept. In audit also you need to decide the nature, timing and extent of audit procedure. What does it mean? Sir, the extent of audit procedure means number of samples to be selected, right? Similar concept is there in peer review. In peer review again, when you are reviewing the engagements of a practicing unit, and this is not of a single year, it is of 3 years. So again there will be large number of engagements. Out of those large pool of engagements, he has to decide which engagements to select, how to decide which engagements to select. How will he decide on that? In audit, it depends on 3 factors generally. Sir, what are those 3 factors? First of all, the internal controls which are generally prevailing. If the internal controls are strong, you can reduce the nature, timing and extent of substantive audit procedure, basically the test of details and analytical procedure. That is something that you can reduce. Second thing, the size of the engagement, the size of the transaction. If the transaction is above the materiality level, definitely it will be tested. So it also depends on the size of the transaction. And then it depends on the number of line items, or you can say the number of transaction. More the number of transaction in case of test of details, or you can say substantive audit procedure, more is the testing to be done. If I use these 3 concepts only and apply in the case of peer review, I will get my answer. Wanna see the magic? Answer is yes. So in case of peer review, for the number part, we have 2 answers. First of all, it is the number of partners, or you can say the number of partners or team members involved in that engagement. If the number of partners and team members involved in that engagement is very high, it is high chance of getting selected. Then the number of branches or locations of the practicing unit. So these 2 things are linked to the number. Then if I talk about the size of the engagement, so size of the engagement means again 2 things. Size and nature of assurance engagement, a direct point, and again the size depends on the fees that you are charging from the client. So with size you can link another point, that is the fees charged or received or GST paid by the practicing unit. So size of the engagement, and the again next point is fees charged from the client. Are these 2 points clear to all of you? And for control, I will not use the word internal control, I will use the word standard on quality control. I will use the word standards on quality control, whether proper standards on quality control are followed by the firm or not. This is how you will remember the answer. So the first points are regarding the number. Let's club them. Number of partners or members involved in the assurance engagement in the practicing unit. Then the number of locations or branch offices of the practicing unit. Are these 2 points of numbers clear? Yes, sir. Then let's discuss about the size. For size, you will remember these 2 points. Size and nature of the assurance engagement, fees charged or received or GST paid by the practicing unit. And the last point is regarding the controls, that is the standards on quality control generally prevailing. There is one more point, if you can read for your reference in case it is asked in the MCQ. It is regarding the methodology generally adopted by the practicing unit in providing assurance services. So generally every practicing unit has their own methodology, have their own methods of doing an audit. In EY, it was called GAM. EY GAM, generally accepted methodology. Okay, so EY game was the methodology used in EY. So methodology is another point which you can consider. So giving you 2 minutes, please learn these points right away, right now, and then we'll move ahead. Please do it right now. Chalo, let's move ahead. And the next point is, as we discussed earlier, from the samples that are selected in form number 5, can the peer reviewer ask for additional samples or additional clarification from the practicing unit? Answer is yes. What was the form? Please comment it down. Please comment it down, or you can write it in your notebook. Sir, the form was form number 6. So from the initial samples which are selected at the planning stage, reviewer in consultation with the peer review board may enlarge or reduce the initial sample size of assurance engagements for the purpose of review. And again, if he wants to increase the sample size, the form was form number 6, and these additional samples need to be provided within, come on, 1 working day. Within 1 working day, the additional samples need to be provided. Awesome, sir, awesome. Now comes the next point, which is regarding the review of records. It's a very ultra simple point. It says there are 2 approaches that the reviewer can follow. One is the compliance approach, one is the substantive approach. Compliance approach, I have already told you, you need to check the controls, you need to check the policies of the practicing unit, whether they are being performed as per the technical, professional, ethical standard. If I talk about the substantive approach, you are checking the documentation or the working papers to check whether the work is done as per the technical, professional, ethical standards. Sir, what are the areas to be considered here? Remember, if ICI gives you the question, which question? This one, compliance review, general controls. So in the general controls, you have to write about independent corps. But if ICI asks you what are the areas to be considered in case of compliance approach, then in that case you need to write here. So 2-3 times you revise, you will automatically get what to write where. Okay, and this is what I have just discussed with you. Sir, what are the areas to be considered? Giving you a trick to understand it. Basically, it is the whole audit process. You don't believe me? Please see. First of all, what do? Sir, we do control testing. Yes, sir. So this is point. Review and evaluation of the systems of internal control, that is TOCs. Then what you do? Sir, we do the substantive audit procedures. Don't worry, we will discuss it in detail in the subsequent chapters, but for the time being, I hope you remember in CA Intermediate you have already covered, there are 2 types of further audit procedure. Test of control and substantive procedure, these 2 are written here. Once you are done with your procedures, what do you collect? Sir, we collect the audit evidence, and it is a record. Basically, audit evidence is a record of the work that we have done. Got? So, assurance services records for administration, it is just like a nature of a audit evidence. On the audit evidence, what do you draw? Sir, we draw conclusion. Come on. What do you draw? We draw conclusion. So, the third point, after these 2 audit procedures, come on, 1, 2. two audit procedures, the third point is the evidence that you have collected, and the fourth point is the conclusion based on that evidence, and based on the conclusion you form your opinion and report on what? Sir, report on the financial statements. So financial statements, presentation and disclosure. Is the whole process clear to you? Sir, please help us make a flowchart so that we can remember it the next time. First of all, what do you do? Sir, we do our audit procedures. What are the two types of audit procedures? Test of controls and substantive audit procedures. These audit procedures will give us access to evidence. But here the word is not written evidence. What it is written? Assurance services records for administration. So you also write this part, records for administration. Then based on that evidence, what do you draw, sir? We draw the conclusions. Based on the conclusion, we form our opinion and report. And report on what? Report on the financial statement. So financial statement, presentation and disclosure. Are these 6 points clear to you? Yes, sir. And what is the procedure for peer review of a new unit? In case of a new unit, it is to be conducted based on the antecedents of the partners. Basically, you have to be dependent on the partners, how they are going to get it conducted, and the policy parameters announced by the practicing unit for the conduct of a test function. Reviewer has to verify the same from the application cum questionnaire submitted by the practicing unit, as well as on-site visit to the practicing unit, which shall be restricted to 1 day. So in this case, what I feel, ICI can ask you an MCQ that in case of a new unit, what is the time limit for an on-site review? So that on-site visit cannot be more than 1 day. Generally, it is how many days? 6 days. It is generally 1 week, and in 1 week Sunday is a holiday, so it was 6 working days. But if I talk about a new unit, it is restricted to 1 day. This is the only point that you need to consider here. Reviewer shall thereafter submit a report to the board in the formats as prescribed by it. Just read and move ahead. Now comes the last stage of the peer review, and now the chapter is coming on the end. So the last stage is reporting by the peer reviewer. Now, since he has already evaluated the samples, he may be either satisfied or not satisfied. If he is satisfied and he feels the systems and procedures are performing properly, they are working as per the standards on quality control, then in that case, he will issue an unqualified report. So it says, after the completion of the on-site review, reviewer shall submit a report to the board in the Form 9. Sir, how do we remember Form 9? Form 9 is everything fine. Come on. Form 9 is everything fine. If in his opinion, practicing unit has adequate systems and procedures in compliance with the TP standards, a copy of report shall also be forwarded to the practicing unit. Sir, in case the systems and procedures have deficiency, in that case, he will submit a preliminary report to the practicing unit. In case he finds that the systems and procedures are deficient or non-compliant with the technical professional ethical standards and he needs some clarification, come on, he needs some clarification, then he needs to communicate to the practicing unit in a preliminary report. Now again, how much time do you think practicing unit will get to respond? 2 working days. So every case where the peer reviewer and practicing unit are communicating with each other, both of them are getting 2 working days of the date of receipt of findings to make its submission and representations in writing to the reviewer. Earlier it was 5 working days, but forget that. Now it is only and only 2 working days. If the reviewer is satisfied, okay, then he shall submit an unqualified report in Form 9 that everything is fine. If he is of the opinion that he is not satisfied, then he will issue a qualified report incorporating the reasons for the same along with in Form 9. A copy of report will also be forwarded to the practicing unit. Now, in case of qualified report, there will be another thing which is called a follow-on review that we will just discuss few minutes after. Please look at the board. Come on, look at here. Where are you looking, man? Yeah, you, I'm talking to you. Please leave your phone aside and yeah, look at it here. Enjoy the orange juice. Report should state that the system of quality control for the assurance services for period under review has been designed to ensure assurance services comply with the TPE standards. Documents which need to be submitted with the peer review report, ICI can ask a 4-marker question on this, and I'm sure they will ask because most of the students will neglect this point. Sir, what are the things, what are the documents that need to be attached with the peer review report? First thing, annexures to the report as prescribed by the board. Copy of the questionnaire from which he selected the samples. Then the list of samples. Oh my God. First of all, from where he selected the samples, then the list of samples. And once he has evaluated the samples, he will also attach the preliminary report if issued along with the practicing unit submission on the same. Come on. First of all, report plus annexure. Then the report was based on the evaluation of sample. From where did he got to select the sample? From the questionnaire. So copy of questionnaire, a list of samples and a preliminary report. Everything has to be attached. So what are the 4 things? Annexure, questionnaire. From the questionnaire he selected a list of samples, and if he found them deficient, then he gave a modified report. Before that modified report, a preliminary report was provided. Is this point clear to all of you? Yes, sir. So these 4 are the documents which need to be attached with the peer review report. Practicing unit as well as the reviewer shall ensure that all the documents are submitted to the board duly dated, signed and complete in all aspects. Reviewer and practicing unit shall mutually cooperate and ensure that the entire review process is completed within how many days? Please write it. Please write it in your notebook. I am giving you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The right answer is 20 working days. Within 20 working days. Sir, from when these working days started? Date of submission of ACQ by the practicing unit in case it wanted to get the peer review done on its own self, or the date on which the practicing unit was notified by the peer review board for the purpose of peer review. Got it? And in case of a new unit, the reviewer and practicing unit shall mutually cooperate and ensure that the entire review process is completed within. What was the time limit for the new unit? Please tell me fast. Let's see who gets it right. Yes, yes. So I think we have got 2, 3 right answers. Yes, everyone is writing it right. Sir, 7 working days. In case of a new unit, it is 7 working days. Working days. 7 working days from which the new unit has submitted the application cum questionnaire for getting the peer review done. Now, sir, the report which is submitted by the peer review will be reviewed by the peer review board. So review of the report by the peer review secretariat under the supervision and directions of the peer review board secretary. The peer review board secretary shall ensure that the report is accompanied by all the documents. Sir, what were the 4 documents? Let's revise it fast. The first document was very simple, annexure to the report. Okay. Then application cum questionnaire. From that application cum questionnaire, a list of samples were selected. And if you don't like the sample, if you feel that the systems are deficient, you must have given a preliminary report. So if there is any preliminary report, that is also to be given. Please remember these 4 points. They will be definitely asked in your exam. As per the guidelines, and ensure that they are complete in all aspects. Next point. All reports shall be placed before the board audit subcommittee for consideration and issuance of peer review certificate. In case there is a qualified report, now the point is coming which I was talking about earlier. In case of a qualified report, the secretary shall place the report before the board for the consideration, and board may decide for a follow-on review. My friend, this can be asked in your MCQ, this can be asked as a long form question, and I think it is there in your question bank also. Sir, when will this follow-on review happen? After a period of 1 year. But sir, 1 year is too much time. Can this 1 year be reduced? Yes, it can be reduced, but not less than 6 months from the date of issue of report. So after a qualified report has been issued, a follow-on review will happen to see whether the firm has improved its policies and procedure. When will it happen? After a period of 1 year. But sir, 1 year is too long. Can it be reduced? Yes, it can be reduced, but not less than, not less than 6 months from the date of issue of report. If there is an unqualified report and a proper fees has been paid by the practicing unit, peer review certificate shall be issued. Peer review board certificate shall place the report before the board audit subcommittee and issuance of peer review certificate to the practicing unit, but only and only they have got the fees from the practicing unit. A peer review certificate shall be issued to the new unit subject to the procedures followed by the reviewer as per the guidelines. Just read this line. That's all that you need to do. Certificate so issued by the board or subcommittee shall be noted by the board at its meeting. Again, just a point to be read. Now comes some amazing point which can be asked in MCQ. Who will sign the certificate? Sir, chairman, vice chairman and secretary. Come on. Chairman, vice chairman and secretary to the board will sign the certificate mentioning the validity period. Secretary shall serve the peer review certificate to the practicing unit. Secretary shall update the list of practicing units having a valid peer review certificate on the website of ICAI. In case it is a qualified report, secretary shall inform practicing unit that no certificate cannot be issued in this case with reasons along with the due date of follow-on review. When can the follow-on review happen? After 1 year, but it can be reduced to 6 months. Not more, not less than that, from the date of receipt of report. I hope these points are clear. Very easy points. Just read them once or twice. That will be all clear. Now comes the validity of peer review certificate. So it says this point is important. I think other points are just for your reading. Practicing unit cannot continue with the existing certificate if it is an expired certificate. I don't think there is some rocket science behind it. Very easy point. Okay. All documents signed by the practicing unit, okay, with the expired certificate. I'll make it easy for you. All the documents signed by the practicing unit with the expired certificate will be invalid. It is the responsibility of practicing unit to complete the peer review of the firm and submit all the necessary documents at least 1 month before the date of expiry of previous certificate. So this is the point again that you can consider, and it shall be valid for a period of 3 years or such other period as may be decided by the board. Validity of peer review certificate of new unit shall be decided by the board. So another MCQ point that you need to remember here is, what is the validity of a peer review certificate? 3 years or the validity as determined by the board? Come on. It is valid for a period of 3 years or such other period as may be decided by the board. When it should be completed? At least 1 month before the date of expiry. Come on. When it should be completed? The peer review should be completed in all aspects at least 1 month before the date of expiry, and it is valid for a period of 3 years or the time as may be decided by the board. Done, sir. Can I get my validity extended? Yes, you can get your validity extended by applying to the board. That is the point that you just need to remember. Form number 8. Sir, how to remember it? Form number 8. Form number 8, extend the date. Come on. Form number 8, extend the date. So if you want to get your date extended, all boys want to get the date extended, huh? If you want to get your date extended, then the form number 8. Now comes the last topic, that is the inherent limitations of peer review. Very easy topic. First of all, sir, what are the inherent limitations of peer review? The main inherent limitation is it is done as per the statement on peer review. What, sir? How come this is the point? Yes. So statement on peer review says you can do selective testing. And whenever you are doing selective testing, it will not disclose all the misstatements. It will not disclose all the weakness. For instance, let's say there are 10 engagements. Out of those 10, I selected only 2. And for those 2, I felt that they were doing good. The policies and procedures were compliant. But it may be the case that in the other 8, there were deficiencies. So whenever you are doing selective testing, there will be inherent limitation. So it says it is because of the statement on peer review. Sir, why statement on peer review? Statement on peer review says that you can do selective testing. So it will not necessarily disclose all the weakness in the compliance with the TP standards and maintenance of quality services, since it would be based on selective test. So the second point is selective test, and the third point says the subject matter of engagement. Sir, what do you mean by subject matter of engagement? The thing which is getting tested. For example, in case of a financial statement audit, what is the subject matter of engagement? Sir, it is the financial statement. Whatever is getting evaluated, whatever is getting tested is the subject matter of engagement. So in case of a peer review, what is getting tested? Sir, systems of quality control. And systems of quality control are just like internal controls. And you must be remembering from your CA inter days, there are inherent limitations of internal control. So the next point says there are inherent limitations in the system of quality control, which happens to be the subject matter of review. And a departure may occur and it may not be detected. So the third point and the most important point is, what you are reviewing is not itself free from the inherent limitation. So there are these three inherent limitations of peer review. First inherent limitation being it is based on the statement of peer review. Sir, why? Because it allows selective testing. So there can be weaknesses which may not be disclosed in the peer review. And the third point says what you are testing itself has its own inherent limitation. That is, there are inherent limitations in the system of quality review. Okay, and because it is your subject matter of review, so definitely departures can occur and it may not be detected. Sir, please give us 2 minutes and we will recall these 3 points right away, right now. Your time starts now. Please start with it. Come on, you can do it. This is one of the favorite questions of ICI, can be asked for 3 marks in your exam, 3 to 4 marks. Just go with the flow and it will get easy for you. Last 10 seconds. Done, sir. Sir, you told us this is the last topic. Pakka, this is the last topic. Okay. So now there comes a difference between peer review and quality review, and the next chapter that we are going to study is quality review only. So I think this will be helpful for all of you. Let's differentiate between the two. So the first thing is peer review, then quality review. If I talk about the basic difference between the two, so it says that it is a process of ICAI. Okay. And this one is done by the central government and it is independent of ICAI. When we started with the concept of peer review, I told you that our main focus is not to identify the weakness or deficiency. Okay. So the main objective of doing a peer review is not to identify any weakness, you can write with me, okay, or deficiency, but to help the practicing unit improve the quality of services. All right. But if I talk about the main objective of quality review, it is to identify and disclose the weaknesses and the deficiency, and in case anything is found, in case a material weakness is found or a deficiency is found, punitive action is taken. punitive action is also taken against the audit firm under review. So in case of peer review, you call it a practicing unit, but in case of a quality review, you call it audit firm under review. So in case any weakness or deficiency is found, it is a punitive action is taken. So here you can also write one more point in case of peer review, that it is more of a mentoring process, right? Rather than a punitive process, it is a mentoring process, and these are the points which are given here. Please read with me. Peer review is the review of the systems and procedures of the audit firm. This is the basic definition we studied in the beginning of the class. Although sample files are inspected, it is done for the purpose of testing the effectiveness of systems and procedure. So why are we reviewing? To test the effectiveness of the systems and procedure. Our intention is not to find the faults, but help the firm in developing effective systems and improving the quality of audits. It is a kind of a mentoring process. Please remember this keyword. This is not a punitive action process or a punitive process. It is a mentoring process. It is a part of the activities of ICI aimed at improving the quality of service. I hope the peer review part is clear. Again, it is a review of the systems and procedures. Why, sir? To test the effectiveness of the systems and procedures. When you are testing the effectiveness, is your purpose to find out the faults and deficiencies? No. The purpose is to help the firm strengthen its systems. Mentoring process, improving their quality of service. But if I talk about quality review, the answer itself starts with the point in contrast. In contrast, quality review is supposed to act as a deterrent. It is written deterrent, not detergent. Okay, detergent is something which you wash the clothes. Deterrent means to restrict someone from doing something bad. Deterrent means to, basically in Hindi it is called darana. In English, what I would say, to create fear among someone. Okay, so if I say that if you don't study, you will fail in CA exams, I am trying to create a fear among you. This line is acting as a deterrent for you to not study. But if I say, please study, studies are important. If you study, you will clear CA exams with amazing marks and you will get a very good job. The second line that I am doing now, it is peer review. It is kind of mentoring process. But the first line that I told, that if you don't study, you will not clear exam, it is acting as a deterrent. So that is the main difference between the two. I hope you are getting the emotion out of it. So quality review act as a deterrent. Quality review board is again constituted by the central government and it is independent of ICI. The main functions are supervisory and disciplinary functions, and the objective is to find errors and inadequacies. In case there are serious errors, it will lead to disciplinary action or punitive action against the members. Again, in contrast, it is a deterrent. ये डराता है. It is creating a fear. Why? Because again, it is not a part of ICI, it is a part of the central government. Second thing, it is a supervisory and disciplinary function where the main focus is to find out the errors and the inadequacies, and in case any serious errors are found, it will lead to a disciplinary action. So that's all about it, and that's all about this chapter. I hope you enjoyed this chapter a lot. All that you need to do is just devote 30-40 minutes after this class and revise the chapter yourself, and it will be done. And remember this quote forever in your life. If you ever get tired, learn to rest. Close your eyes. Take 2 to 3 deep breaths. And calm your mind, but not quit. Okay, so have 2-3 sips of water whenever you feel you can say low on energy. Whenever you feel your body is getting heated up, just close your eyes, take 2-3 deep breaths in, wash your face with cold water, and yes, you are back again with energy and you can begin your studies. So that's all for today. Please keep studying happily, because if you study happily, you are definitely going to achieve your goals. All the best. Where it is, yeah.